goons. Falling rank and file, this is my platoon. Soldiers at attention, ain't no Willie lynching. This the program, who they think they getting? Reinvent the system, total reconstruction of our mental stigma. This ain't a game, boy. Still they think I'm talking about Nintendo's, that's a shame, boy. Augment reality, better fix your brain, boy. I love my people, hope they love me black. I'm going hard and ain't no holding back. Watch me react, I put my fist up in the skies like a beacon for believers that one day we return to our greatest sin. We seek it all the glory we can obtain and keep reaching. I'm painting this picture, I hope you see it. Just what the theme is. I love being black. We turning up. I love being black. Say it loud, man. I love being black. One more time. I love being black. Hey. Well, how about you? Done seen these tunes too? Customize for you a little something you can grow to. Feeling good about yourself. Melanated, mood muse. Always service humble pie. We don't care about who's who. Light brown or dark skin. This right here's for you too. We are the gods of the earth. Living proof truth. Say it loud if you black and proud. I salute you and that's a fact. Where you at? Let me hear you say it back. I love being black. We turning up. I love being black. Say it loud. Man, I love being black. One more time. I love being black. Hey. Super melanation, renovation of our databases. Gotta fix the trinity to make it past the matrix. There's a rabbit in the hole. Your decision, you gon' chase it or just shove it for complacency. Here's your motivation. Black power in your veins. Up to us to build a nation. European mental detox completely we erase it. Cause you can't keep writing over old information. Probably bring it right back if you love being black. I love being black. We turning up. I love being black. Say it loud. Man, I love being black. One more time. I love being black. Hey. I do this for my people all across the map. Even for the ones who don't identify with being black. Hebrews the best elixir. Go ahead and try your best. It's truth serum, I let loose spirits. The ancestors speak to me, I spit the truth, hear it. You broken souls here to re-engineer them so that they fearless. This precious atmospheric as the hell is spinning. Trying to strategize a way so we can start winning. It begins with pride of yourself. Embracing this feeling. Say no new friends, that's what happened to village. Too much individualism, it's easier to pillage. I'm just making this appearance for coherence so you can understand what we up against. Hit the reset button, switch covenants. It's my contract to the people that I'm publishing. It's a new era, hood to hood, feel the power and I'm loving it. Turn up, net turn up, strapped with the black burner. Murder, keep sleeping and I shoot up your server. Corrupt the service at the 5, man, it's time to purge them. We waking up and that's what got them nervous. I love being black. We turning up. I love being black. Say it loud. Man, I love being black. One more time. I love being black. Hey.
In all of the programs that I attended, all of the education that I had, college, public, and otherwise, nobody ever told me that I was an African woman. Nobody ever told me what the history of African people were. Nobody ever told me that America is business and without business you will have nothing and be nothing. And nobody ever told me how to organize business so that I would be able to develop institutions in my own community. So now the sincerity of all of the programs and all of the education has to be questioned, indicted, and convicted, because the bottom line is that America is not and has never tried to produce African adults who are functional, self-sufficient, who understand their politics, their economics, and their relationship to the world politics and the world economics. Listen, you have to have some confidence in the power of African people amongst ourselves to establish a foundation. We have it. We have utter chaos in our cities, and you got to do that. You can have a program. I'm not saying we've built a lot of institutions, and those institutions have not been effective. The majority of millions of African youth in this country are dying mentally, dying spiritually, dying emotionally, dying academically, and you may have a program, Mr. Brown may have a program, but what we got to talk about is an American government that tracks millions of African people who don't go to your program Don't go to Brown's program. Millions of African people, not only here, but all around the world. And if we are not honest enough to say who are our friends, who are our enemies, to know what a friend is, to know what an enemy is, we will constantly be trying to get into people's parties, to shake our butts with them, to get them to like us, and that's not the question. The question is, what can we build amongst ourselves to secure ourselves from our enemies so that we will be able to survive into the future?
Black unity and black power. You already know what time it is, family. It's your boy D Cook on location, and you are now tuned in to the #1 Black Power Hour, New Era Chicago Radio on What's in It for the Black People Media. What's good, family? What's good? Come on in. I see you all jumping in on the live.
Peace.
They
y'all.
jumping in. Y'all know I'm never about myself. I got my queen with me, Sister E. What's good?
What's good, family? I'm just giving a shout out to we got all the New Era Nation queens on here. Peace, family. Hey, y'all.
No doubt, no doubt.
Hey, y'all.
Yo, definitely. Shout out to Sister Oya, too. She tapped in right now.
She tapped in. We see
Ain't
you,
no
sis.
question. Ain't no question. Yo, that's what it is, family. We all connected on the yo-yo. We are all binded together, family. So this is what this is when we come together and chop it up. It's the Power Hour. So real quick, everybody that's on here, just drop in the comments for us. We want to know where you tapping in at, where you listening to the show, what's the thought. Also, share this to other people so they can tune in and get some of this love as well. You know it's going to be powerful, family. And at the end, you're going to be like, man, I should share this to such and such. Go on and hit them right now so they can tap into the convo, okay? We appreciate you all, New Era Nation. What's good, family? We love you. Man, this is what it is, family.
Man, I'm just happy to see y'all all tapped in or whatever. How was your day today, bro?
My week has been powerful, extraordinary.
Mm-hmm.
My week been
love to hear it.
Yes,
listen.
Listen. So throughout the week, I do like group facilitations on gun violence.
Okay.
And so I have like a few different locations, and so the organizations that I partner with, this is like the last week of services. And then we end for the year. They get like a 2-week break, and then we start up next year. So it's almost like a processing out for a minute. But it's hard for me, right?
Yeah.
Because individually, right? And I know for 2 weeks, my guys are going to be out here. We used to meeting like 2 or 3 times a week and stuff like that, right? And it's during the holidays. They may not have a lot of money. They may not have. We talked about that last group session, you know, especially those that got children and they don't have the money. And they're like, man, I don't know what to do. And we were just talking about how we going to show up, right? And so I just hate thinking about like not seeing my guys for 3 weeks. But me, as how I am, how I rock, my telephone number is public information.
There you go.
I put it out there to all the men. They hit me all the time. Yo, D Cook, man, we see you out there doing your thing. Keep it up. I'm coming out there with you. So my week has been powerful.
And it's a reflection of you, King. Real talk. You know what I'm saying? I just love your energy. Love your energy throughout whatever we're doing. You know, you always, you know, on 10 with it, and it's genuine. So I always appreciate just rocking with you, King. So I know they are just as appreciative of you. And them 3 weeks gonna be just as hard for them too. So
yeah, no doubt. I appreciate you.
They gonna go fast though. They gonna go fast though, because you know you get the chilling.
Right? Cause I'm ready to get back to my guys.
There you go.
got some more group facilitations I want to do.
There you go. Well, you know, New Era gonna keep you busy.
No
so
doubt,
don't
no doubt. And also, it's been busy right now, like just more so than ever. Like the Creator, like Allah's good. He blessed me. You know, like people are calling like for speaking engagements already getting started for the top of the year. So I'm looking forward to reaching out and speaking to a few more people and have a lot more speaking engagements where I have like the whole school inside the auditorium and just going over some things, conflict resolution, you know, just love for each other and how to build and be a boss and who you are. Right.
So last week, when we were wrapping up, you briefly got to tell us about Minds Over Nines. Yeah. We got a few minutes till Brother E get here, but, you know, why don't you tell the people a little bit more about that?
All right, so real quick, family, and listen, we got a dope show for you today, family. Don't go anywhere. We're going to continue the conversation that we was talking about last week, rape and molestation, and we know it's difficult, we know it's hard, but we want you guys to tune in because we definitely going to go there. But Minds Over Nines, like, yo, sis, one thing, It's a brother by the name of Glenn Martin, who's in New York. He has this program called Just Leadership. And he says, those that are closest to the problem are closest to the solution. And that just like stayed with me, right? And I thought about like the harm like I brought to the community. Like where was I a problem at? You know, gun violence was one of those places, sister. You know, I spent 10 years of my life being incarcerated. Everybody knows this, you know, for not being able to think, not being able to control my emotions, for thinking that somebody is my property, and most relationships end like that because one person figures out that you can't control another person. You know, my aha moment happened while I was in prison. My mom was gone for 32 years, I was gone for 10 years. Both had different situations, but everything involving gun violence. And I said, if wherever I was the problem at, that's where I want to resolve something at. And so I decided, what better way to be able to help and be a part of the community and come up with a gun violence prevention program. I had to go back to school and educate myself. As soon as I came home in 2009, went straight to school, Governor State University. Bless Dr. West and Dr. Glass. I love them. Got my bachelor's in 2012. Got my master's in 2018. About to go get my LCSW right now. But I just wanted to do doctoral work right now without taking a PhD. You know, right? Like in an undergraduate program, like you learning theories.
Okay.
In the master's program, like you understanding them and comprehending them.
Okay.
On the PhD level, you should be developing them, right? And so I wanted to develop my own program, Minds Over Nines, because there was a time in my life that I thought my 9 was more powerful than my mind.
Come on.
But when you get locked up, all the OGs got to check the guns in at the gate. So you just in there with these 2 right here and your mind.
That's it.
And I had an aha moment like, oh, boy, my mind has been the most powerful thing all this time. Right? And so I talked to men about not turning your guns in. No, just when it's in your possession, being mindful of your property, locking it up so we don't have over 100,000 children dying to gun violence because the guns are in the house and they found it. If they can find a Christmas gift, they can find a gun.
Come on.
Right? So this is why I came up with Minds Over Nines. So I appreciate the space to be able to talk
Oh
about
man,
this.
King, people need to know. You know what I'm saying? The people need to understand that these that we not just wearing T-shirts and we not just out here bumping our lips. Or should I say just talking because we have lips. We're actually, you know, doing stuff in our everyday life that is definitely geared towards what New Era Chicago stands for. So, man, King, I just I've seen you speak. It wasn't a dry eye in the house, but I felt it. You know what I mean? And I saw the way that the kids appreciated and responded to it. So, man, keep rocking, King. We appreciate you.
That's what's up.
And I'm just, man, I'm excited for you and what's to come for you in the next year.
Let's do it.
Word.
Let's do it. Service, right?
Yes, sir.
That's what's
all
up.
we got.
All right, family. So listen, I want you all to tune in. Last week we were talking about rape and molestation. We're going to go ahead and transition right now and get into our topic because that's what we're here for, right? Rape and molestation. And last week we kind of like opened up a lot. And before we start, I want to preface with saying that I know that we may not have all the answers to solve everything today. I know that just hearing those words may trigger or spark something in someone, you know? Like, I always keep this story in my mind of one of my professors when we had this class on domestic violence. And she dealt with domestic violence, but in the military.
Okay.
Right? And she would always talk about this one lady who she would work with all the time. And every time she came in there and they was doing one-on-one counseling, she would always look up at the ceiling. And it was a cabinet up there. And so she just observed this as a good, you know, counselor would do. As a good therapist would do. And one week it came up like, why do you always stare up there? And she opened up that day that she had been molested before, right? It happened from a family member. It hurt so bad during that moment, like mentally and physically, that you try to remove yourself just from that moment. I'm not even a willing participant right now, right? Remove myself. And she focused on the cabinets on the ceiling, on the wall. So when she came in there for, you know, her counseling and therapy, like she automatically went to that moment when that conversation came up again, right? This is like how deep and traumatic like these type of experiences can be. It is PTSD. And that on the highest level, right? And so we're prefacing and saying this for a reason because we know that it can trigger somebody, right?
That's it.
That's why one of the things that we talked about last week was having a strong support system.
Yep.
And that support system don't have to be 1 million people, sis.
Nope.
Just one person.
Just one person.
That you can call any time of the day and night, right? Right? Just have one person that you can reach out to. Our second thing that I recommend before we get started, since we're continuing the conversation, is being ready. What's up, bro? It's being ready, right? Like, I recommend this to anybody who's feeling that way, that I feel, so I'm in a situation where I may not be able to get out of it. Already have you a care package already put together for yourself.
That's it.
Listen, I know what I'm talking about, family. I did 10 years inside the joint. When you get there, the one thing that they got already waiting for you is a care package. You got toothpaste in it, soap, coffee ball, and some write-outs so you can write your family and let them know you're okay. You need to have all that together already.
And as much, and what I like to add too, as much as we see it in the Black neighborhoods, you know, it's still so uncomfortable for our elders and our parents to talk about it or even receive it. And you know, I'm going to give it what it is. For some, they may not know how to deal with it, but for others, it's a lack of accountability. Right. You know, it's taking the mask off. It's taking the mask off of whomever the person may be being exposed, or you think you putting yourself first in the manner. And it's just like it being so traumatic, that makes it more of a priority, or it should be more of a priority. Because like I said, you know, this is what we don't discuss. Most times when children or youth are molested or raped or whatnot, that it triggers something different in them. Right. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they you know, touch on other little kids, or they become promiscuous. Or they
withdraw. Yep.
Or they withdraw. You know what I mean? It's like they just go into a shell, and, you know, it's not oftentimes we can get people out of those shells. Right. So the reason why we wanted to talk about this so much is because we don't talk about it enough. And bringing it to the light, although it is uncomfortable, there are several different support groups out here. There's several different people that we all can just lend the ear to, or just, just that space to make it okay to talk about, because it's happening, you know, and it's you know, it's past time for us to keep sweeping it up under the rug, like, don't tell nobody. And, you know, I can't remember this thing I watched. I'm not even gonna talk about it because I can't remember the name of it. But it just talked about a young lady that had been sexually abused when she was a kid, and she was just like, it was just like the ugly stepsister. That's how they treated her. But they didn't understand why she was so mean, why she was so, you know, to herself, and why she seemed like she hated her family. And it was just because she was afraid, for one, and two, it's just like she was angry because y'all not trying to help her. Right. You know, so it just brought a whole lot. And I saw this after our show. But it's just been a crazy week for me. But man, just getting the word out, y'all. Just getting the word out, and in any way possible that we can, open up those doors and those conversations with our youth. That will be way more beneficial than we think. It was one time I remember we went to one of the alternative schools in Chicago, and we would come up and just mentor the kids. And like 10 minutes after we walked in the door, one of the little sisters pulled me to the side, and she said, "Do you think we could talk about, you think we can have a discussion about sex and sexual abuse and, you know, drugs and sex and stuff like that?" And I was just like, damn, well, yeah, you know what I mean? And we broke them off into groups, and just hearing, you know, I always say this, we just do not give our youth enough credit to their level of understanding. The way that those children were able to talk and speak their piece without no shame. I mean, I was hurt, but I was proud, because I was just like, damn, all we got to do is just go in there and ask. You know, they want to tell, they want to talk about it, they want to be redirected. So those spaces, like with the youth, you know, it's going to be a little harder because they've already started to form their own mind and understanding of certain things, and they're still reacting from PTSD.
But you know what, sis, not to cut you off, you know what popped into my mind that you were just saying that right now, because you are right and exact. Like, yeah, that's, we have to tend to that. And I was thinking about what's making it difficult to do that. And I was like, oh, man, it's the trauma we as adults, you know, are walking around with. Like, you know, we haven't dealt with ours yet, right? Like Sister Oya, she brought it up like last week. She said that we was a lot of family members, especially mothers, that was out here by themselves grinding. You know, relationships ended. They started a new relationship. Got this man. I'm trying to keep a roof over my children's head. I'm trying to figure out what's the number one priority. What's the right move to make? It was hard. I'm not making no excuses. We don't do none of that. I'm just drawing a picture right now on what it looked like, right? And so for a lot of people that's listening, they grew up in those situations, just like Sis said. Where we had Unc that, hey, if you got a basement, that's where he at. You know what I'm saying? You keep your ass down there when all these kids over here, right? And you know you will feel that, and you be like, there's something wrong in there, right? And that sister, or you said like, so what's the other alternative? We gonna call the police on them? You know what I'm saying? So you caught in the situation like, man, do I turn my family in, or how do we deal with this situation that's going on? And a lot of it never got dealt with. We all just grew up and swept that like to the back of our heads. It's just locked inside the box, you know? And very seldom do it get a chance to come out. But when it does, right, it sparks so many different emotions. I think by having that conversation that you just said, like with our children, we resolve like both problems at once, right? Like it's going to be therapy for us as well as it is for our youth. And it's going to be some tears. We're going to cry together, but we're going to grow together. It's very important that we break generational curses.
Because that's where the true healing starts. I don't know nobody on this earth that that would touch any of my children and that I wouldn't
go MC Hammer.
We done.
Yeah.
You know, you would beg me to call the police. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I think a lot of people are lacking. It's no scale with that. That is a child. You know, that is a woman, or that is a child. You know, men, women too. I'm not just talking about brothers, you know, molesting girls. I mean, women too. You know, there has to be a fine line drawn. You know, we start talking about, like, just think about our grandparents. Our grandparents were dating. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? They had some questionable times, but that fends to the trauma that we're talking about. It didn't seem like trauma then because it was, you had one job. You're going to be married. I'm going to take care of you, and that's going to be that. But at the same time, it's just like some of that shit was a little bit sinister too. And it's just like not about just getting one of the mouths out of the house fed and get her married off. It's not just about that. It was traumatic, and that shit traveled through the bloodlines. It did. And so now it's like, you know, we to a certain degree don't know what's right and what's wrong. But nah, man, you know, that time is up when we start seeing our babies and how overly sexualized. Everything is just, I was looking at the doggone Sprint commercial, and they was selling phones, and I'm like, y'all don't need all this to sell no damn phone. You know what I'm saying? They had it was way distracting. I ain't finna get all off into it, but it was just way too distracting. I'm like, you know, sex just sells everything, and that to me is a trigger for these children, our youth, when they see certain stuff. You know what I'm saying? It makes them curious. You know, when y'all start talking about, we're gonna introduce sexual content or whatever in 5th grade. Let me do that. Y'all worry about what y'all worry about at school. Let me do that, because the way that y'all agenda is different from mine in this household. So, you know, it's just a matter of us narrating our own thing, us giving our own children, our own youth, and just keeping it 100 with them, keeping it a buck. You know, everything is going to be sugar-coated any other type of way, but it's going to be given in the raw from this manner.
Yeah,
you know what
sure.
I mean?
Straight like that.
Yeah.
Listen, family. It's the #1 Black Power Hour, New Urban Chicago Radio on What's in It for the Black People Media. Today we're talking about rape and molestation and how it's been swept under the rug inside our communities and what we need to do to bring that back out and heal at the same time.
Ashe.
It has to be through conversation. It has to be through communication. Communication has to be the key. We got to put it out there, right? Because when you take it off your shoulders, right? Like you could be walking around with something, right? It was like pain. Like I need to tell this person this. They hurt me that day, right? And when you finally see them and you get a chance to say it and you stand on it,
man,
that's almost like
whole
1,000 pounds of pressure off your back, right?
Facts.
So all I'm saying is those that haven't had a chance to express this to anybody is walking around like a hunchman right now. You know what I'm saying? That's heavy on the back. Be a release valve for someone.
Yeah.
Be a release valve. That's all. Just ask questions, family. Be a release valve because, man, when someone drops off all that weight, now you can start moving. You're more agile right now. You're living life. You know how many people are breathing but not living? Like, we all know we gonna die. You know, the question is, like, how many people gonna live?
Come
like,
on.
For real, family. Come on, let's knock it off.
And a part of that, you know, a part of like not just letting it out and releasing it, that's a part of that person's individual healing. But then just imagine when they start to heal, how they can help heal other people. You know what I'm saying? Because they were that exact person, so they can relate in a different space. You know, it's not a woman out here, whether she has children or not, that cannot recognize that part of a child where you're like, man, something wrong. You know what I'm saying? And it don't feel right, or it's just, you know, something eerie about it. You know, I was laughing at this post early, and it said if women had intuition, why you ain't no dude wasn't shit or something like that. And I was just like, she did. The intuition did tell her. She just decided to do something else. But that's just the proudness that I have with women in our intuition. It ain't much that can get past a woman. And it ain't no shade to the brothers. I'm just saying, you know, the woman being the nurturer in, you know, the households or the families, or most of the time the head of the families nowadays, she know. Grandma knew. You know what I'm saying? You knew your child. And I just think it's just times just out of that. Don't bring your ass up here with these kids. And, you know, no, he shouldn't even be there. He shouldn't be there.
Real stuff.
You know, I don't want to give them to the police, but you probably want to get them to the police if I gotta come.
Or just in the comments right now, Sister Oya's right here. She's saying like, "Yo, we need systems in place to deal with perpetrators in our community ourselves."
Yeah,
like exactly right there. Like what's the accountability piece?
Yeah.
What's the consequence when you do this right here? It needs to be known by the land, family.
Yeah.
It needs to be known by the land. We don't need no outsider to come in, because listen, this is how you should think, family. You know, like I'm a spiritual person in thought, right? But I know a lot about more science. I've delved in that. I moved with a lot of brothers when I was incarcerated. It was one thing that they said that stood out to me. They was like, listen, why do you think they let us have service without? Why do you think they allow us? Now, we cool on the break. No. All right, we go ahead and run the break there in 1 second, right? Let me get this thought out, right? Like, says, I lost my train of thought, right? Right? So, go ahead. You was going to tell me what I said?
No, I was telling you where you started, but go ahead.
Where did I start at?
You said the process of thinking. That's what I looked over it.
And I promise you that don't help me right now, right? So what we going to do is...
talking about the Moors and why do you think they let you have a service?
No doubt, bro. Gratitude, King. Look at King, my brother right there, man. So the Moors, they was like, why do you think they allow us to have this service in here without any guards being there? There's no guards in there in the prison. Like, they run the service inside there, right? And a big thought that came to my mind is that the brother said, like, that's because they know that we standing on our square inside here. There's no law of theirs that we can break before we break one of our own laws. That stood with me so strong, right? Like if we in violation of your law, we've been in violation of our own. We need our own set of terms and nomenclature to get down, man. Damn somebody else scripture, right? So when you break our laws, here's the consequence to that right there, right? And it ain't got nothing to do with how they got theirs set up. They may got theirs that if you injure somebody at level 7, we saying at level 1 when you get out there. No, sir. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to make sure we put that out there. And those that are inside the comments right now, this is what we need from you, family. That type of input. Put in, like, we take these thoughts and we try to develop them and move to the next level, right? So 2 things we want to do on the other side of the break, right? Sis, I want us to get to these comments. We're going to get Brother Inside here. He just saved the day with that thought process. That's what he do. Because I promise you, I was out of there under the Old Man Act. I couldn't remember nothing, right? And also, when we come back, I want us to kind of discuss and talk to the people about how would I start that conversation with my child.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Okay.
All right, that's what's up,
always
fam.
trying
We were
to come
talking
with
earlier
solutions.
about like starting the conversation, talking to our child about rape and molestation, and anybody touch you, how would you start that conversation? All right, family?
Y'all make sure to come back so y'all can help us so we can come up with some solutions.
For sure, for sure. Hey, listen, family, it's the #1 Black Power Hour, New Era Chicago Radio on What's in It for the Black People Media. Don't go nowhere, family.
WIIFTV-PM. Aristocratic Relationship Hour with Gina B. Why you are not married. Number one, you ain't all that. I know that's hard for y'all to swallow. I don't look as good as my 22-year-old self. People need to realize that. You just ain't all that. And I get it. I got this master's degree. I went to this school, that school. I worked hard for this job, for this house. And then she over there got that man. And you don't have one. Men are very simple creatures. So, ladies, for you very accomplished ladies, I got some advice for them.
What's that?
I always say it like this. You can write this one down. Be a kitten, not a cat. What does that mean, Chris?
What does that mean?
You ever played with a kitten? It's real friendly. It almost acts like a puppy. And you want to play with it. You want to look at the little kitty. It just makes you feel good. Now, have you ever seen an adult cat? When it feels like it, it might rub against your leg and move away. But is that men like kittens?
Kittens will play with anybody. A cat is particular.
Listen, what did we learn? Men are very simple creatures.
Right.
You can fool us. We want you to laugh at our dumb jokes. So all you super smart women out there, you good looking women, you see a guy you like, you guys do make it out on a date. He actually pays for the date. When you're actually with that person, the dialogue is happening, the dinner is happening. You say, okay, this might work, this might work. It would help if you act a little blind.
Oh my God, Becky.
You're going to hear me say that a lot. Be nice to
So
him. You hear the worst joke ever, but if you sort of like them, laugh at it. There you go. Hey, it's a lot of married women out there. If we got any married women chiming in, if I'm telling a lie,
I want a fake laugh.
Let me know. Right.
What you're saying is that we should cater to the male ego, and that's what's ultimately going to get us married.
I'm first saying recognize that I think some of us, more women than men, look in the mirror. You ever seen a little lion look in the mirror, see somebody real big? They see somebody a little more fine than what they are. And I'm not calling anybody ugly, so I'm not here to bash anybody.
Let's look at Middle America, okay? Middle America is not attractive.
They're not?
Middle America is largely married.
Okay, I think we're on the same page then. People we get stuck to reality shows sometime and think we're supposed to have, I got a degree in a house, so I'm supposed to have Idris Elba or his twin.
Well, I mean, have you noticed, okay, so you remember your friends from high school, right? And you remember how they had all of these qualifications for, if she's going to lock me down, she got to be this, that. She's got to have an ass like that.
That's all we really looked at. Stop right there. That's really what are men? Simple creatures. We want to be fed. We want you to laugh at us, give us some, and that's it. To get us.
Today, the Biden administration is releasing what it calls a new strategy to fight domestic terrorism. Following a 100-day review, federal officials are now laying out a new plan hoping to deter, detect, and prosecute domestic terror.
They went to the Capitol waving their flags and looking for smoke. He was out there looking for justice. They was over there looking for votes. Ashley Babbitt was with him and told all the people that nothing could stop us. She climbed through the Capitol window, breached security, and called a shot, bro. The media say she a veteran. They paint the picture to make her look greater. But she disrespected the same country that she served. That makes her a traitor. They was fighting police, resisting arrest. On God, I couldn't believe it. I guess blue lives only tend to really matter when it's convenient. Hey, these are the times we witness in history. All because they didn't get a victory. United States is so contradictory. We get equal rights, that's a mystery. Politicians, they more like magicians. You know they got tricks up their sleeve. We point out the flaws that's up in this country. You know they gon' tell us to leave. Somebody try to help me understand it. Always seems like a double standard. They be out here leaving us empty-handed to certain rights we are not granted. The media is the culprit when it comes to the comparison. Cause when it comes to race, they always changing up the narrative. Terrorism. They say you a patriot, call you a hero. I call it terrorism. And that's on the real. You know what we know, I say it's terrorism. They say you a patriot, call you a hero. I call it terrorism. And that's on the real. You know what we know, I say it's terrorism. They say you a patriot, call you a hero. I call it terrorism. And that's on the real. You know what we know, I say it's terrorism. They say you a patriot, call you a hero. I call it terrorism. We still out here trying to get our reparations, but the government pump faking out here hesitating. I'm out here trying to keep my peace, so I keep meditating. The media make us look bad, they taint our reputation. Look, it's so sad that COVID causing toe tags. You claim you so patriotic, but you ain't wearing no mask. You out here wildin' with your MAGA flags and showing your ass. You wanna be part of some type of revolution so bad. Look, you talk revolution and constitutional rights, homie. I guess we forgot about back in the days days when all of the business was whites only. Yeah. George Floyd got justice. Juneteenth got much respect. They made it a national holiday. Man, it's all good, but cut the check. They're giving out all of these vaccines, putting it in you like caffeine. Was it all in the part of the plan? I bet money like DraftKings. It's land of the free, home of the brave. 1776, we wasn't free till 1865, so we wasn't part of that shit. And that there's terrorism.
Yes, sir. You already know what time it is, family. Black unity, black love, black power. It's the #1 Black Power Hour, New Urban Chicago Radio on What's in It for the Black People Media. Your boy D Cook, back with Sister E, and we got our brother inside the building today, Big E. You already know what's good, family. So listen, we're talking about rape and molestation. First and foremost, family, we appreciate you all for all the comments that you're leaving. We're definitely going to get to those. They're extremely powerful. Sis, I mean, it's just a lot of thoughts going through my mind now. I'm thinking about a lot of people, because every time I'm in a room and I'm speaking, especially like at a domestic violence event. Like last year I spoke at a couple of them. You have so many people in the room that say, not only have I experienced this, I've experienced it multiple times. It's still troubling me now. And I got a niece that's going through it right now. She just won't leave him. I just don't know what to do, you know. And I can't help but get them out of my mind right now, right? We have a lot of people that's going through this. Go ahead, sis. Chime in. Just
a lot of that, it's just it has a lot to do with self-esteem. You know what I mean? What do they call it? The Stockholm Syndrome. You end up just like being so in love and infatuated with somebody that's ultimately hurting you so badly, and you don't understand it, or you can't even recognize it.
What am I blinded by?
It's I don't know.
Come on now.
It's a void. It's a void that person needs filled. It's a void, and so they think by going through these type of things that it's fulfilling in some type of way, just to say I got somebody. Okay. You know what I mean?
No, I wasn't. I wasn't about to interrupt you. Go ahead.
It's definitely a void. And that's where we supposed to be ahead of this thing, but like I always say, we're not too late. We late. It's never too late when we're still trying. But we late. We should have been in front of this a long time ago. But now this is why we're bringing it, to the front. Just so everybody know, like, this stuff is still going on. And so when we start talking about solutions, we have to talk about healing. We got to talk about acknowledging first. You can't heal from something that you won't acknowledge. When we sit back and we talking about, we thinking about, who was responsible and, blame. And it's easy to blame. It is, and you can blame for forever. But at the end of the day, your healing is your responsibility. Mm-hmm. And the more that you deny or avoid what is eating you up, you're going to be just as toxic as the person that hurt you and the person that didn't protect you.
You made a great point right there. Brother E, I know you wanted to get in. I'm going to come back to when you talked about responsibility, but go ahead, Brother E.
When you were talking about, I think the sis talked about Stockholm Syndrome, when she said it, I was like, man, I can't even relate. I don't know. I've never been in a situation where somebody was, beating on me and I just had to never, you know what I'm saying? But not to get too deep into something, there's a spiritual component to this too. Okay. You know what I'm saying? There's a spiritual component to predator victim, you know what I'm saying? And I don't want to talk about that too much because it's like, I don't know. My thoughts on it may be different than a lot of other people's, and certain things that I've experienced in my life have brought me to a certain point to realize not everything is can be explained in the natural. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah. But as far as to stay in the spirit of what we're talking about, as far as it relates to accountability and dealing with these issues and whatnot, I think before the break we were talking about how would you start?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
This conversation with your youth. Like,
Man,
how would you start that?
Depending on how old they are, you know, I know it's kind of a case by case basis, but if you're going to be talking about this to your child, you obviously, well, hopefully you are.
Let's say under 16. Let's say like 10 to 16.
Okay. If you're going to be talking about this with your child, I would hope that whoever's having this conversation is someone who is involved in their child's life there regularly to observe their child, to know what they can understand, to know what they're ready to talk about. You know what I'm saying? And I would, you know, if you as a parent or a caregiver or a guardian or whatever, you decided to have this conversation, I would be like, man, straightforward with it, like blunt. You know what I'm saying? I don't think we have to, I do believe children should be shielded from certain things, but the society that we live in the shit is already, you know what I'm saying? They already in a cesspool of bullshit anyway. So it ain't, you know, it's not like, you know, you're talking to your child about something that they don't know. Like, man, these children can look on their phone and access all type of perversion and whatever. You know what I'm saying? So like I wouldn't be scared or nervous, you know, talking to them about nothing.
Yeah, we naive to think that they haven't seen these things
Oh,
come across
man.
it, or that those other students in the class ain't using curse words and they're hearing it on a daily basis.
Yep.
Even in everything has some type of sexual content. So, you know, that is no excuse.
We are a very hypersexualized society, and then we're hypersexualized and on one end, but at the same time it's like we expect a different result. You know what I'm saying? It's like we have these standards, sort of, because kind of we don't have no standards, but to some degree. Do you get what I'm saying? Like we have these expectations, but on the front end we don't facilitate that. We don't facilitate discipline and being conservative with your sex, with your body, we don't facilitate none of that. We don't teach that. We don't push that. We don't promote that. You know, like the society pushes
like
recklessness
the
and
it's the opposite, right?
So like when we come up with these problems, like, you know, we have to take all of that into consideration. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I don't know how we could possibly turn this shit back. You know, I was thinking of, well, I ain't gonna tell that story. It was just a conversation that I heard some children having in the bed. You know, I went to go pick up some kids for a friend of mine, and I was just listening to their conversation. I'm like, damn. And the little girl couldn't have been no more than, I think the oldest one was 12. You know, and she was talking to her sister about something, and just how freely they were talking about this. You know, I was just like, man, I couldn't even imagine, bro. So yeah, like ultimately, if we plan on fixing this shit, we gonna have to re-engineer our society. And in order to re-engineer, that means you got to have a hands-on approach. Ain't no amount of hashtagging and man that's messed up talking shit online and whatever gonna get it. We have to take an active, intentional and deliberate role and approach to this shit.
Yep. Because if we show fear, they gonna be able to see it. Us as the adults, you know, kids, they not listen. They know, you know what I'm saying. They know who to bullshit and who not to bullshit. I'll just say it like that. They understand when people are, you know, it's a defense mechanism that they have to have in today's society. You know what I'm saying? So they know when you coming with some real shit and when you not. And I've just learned that in going into the alternative schools, just listening to them. It's a lot of pain. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of pain in there, and they looking for an outlet. And it's not just them. So when you ask how do we start, it has to be a normal conversation. It can't be no fear in it. You can't, you know what I'm saying? You can't sugarcoat it in no type of way. You have to ask direct questions. You have to make them comfortable enough to let them know that whoever it was, you know, they not going to hurt you, X, Y, Z. You know, all of that stuff. All that stuff got to be pulled out. And that's just a start for me.
Yeah, I mean, so what comes across my mind, like the number one thing, because I do believe that, you know, I say too, Queen, like for sure, that's what it was right there. I do believe that when we get inside the room, like, The spirit will guide us. The ancestors will guide us with what to say.
Yeah.
I don't even want you to focus on the words too much. For me, I want you to focus on the location. I want you to focus on making it a safe space. Like, I feel comfortable over at Nana House. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Versus, well, we at McDonald's talking about it, or we in the car ride and music was playing. Let's go on and create a safe space for it. You know what I'm saying? And I think that'll work as well. And from that family, it's nothing that can stop us out here, family. Listen, I want to go real quick and just say what's up to a lot of people that's checking in. Chelsea, peace. Michelle, Sister Oya. We see you all. And Michelle said, real quick, we got one of the comments. We have to speak up for our boys as well. Some may think it's okay or cool for a boy to sleep with a grown woman. It's not. That's still a child. Sister E, got a comment on that?
Yeah. I mean, y'all know I was already going there with it anyway, but I ain't going to say who, but, I done seen some brothers high-fiving and clapping about their sexual experiences at a younger age.
Okay, now say this. Make sure it wasn't none of us. It wasn't us. Don't imply that it was us.
I ain't talking about the brothers on the left, or the right, or the in front of me.
They might be like, it's these brothers right here. But she don't want to out them.
I mean, but that's just society, period. You know what I'm saying? If you in the barbershop and the brother's talking about, yeah, man, when I was 10, the lady was 12 and da-da-da-da. And they like, oh, hell yeah. But if a girl do it, she been fast all her damn life. You know what I'm saying? It's a double standard, and it's just unhealthy on both sides. And that's just something that we all have to just go ahead and chalk it up. It's different, I guess, but at the same time, it is very traumatic. At the same time that the young guy was, being dealt with by an older woman and vice versa. It just creates a different type of space mentally. You know what I'm saying? And it kind of just, it throws off a balance in some type of way, a natural balance that I think that we all may have, but I just think that it kind of clouds the mind when it's too soon, when it's introduced too soon. So there was a comment that that a sister, I wanted to read if y'all don't mind. This is Sister Cece from Detroit, New Era, Detroit. She said, also, if you're having a conversation where you're asking your child if they've been sexually abused, I would suggest that you make sure you have the tools and have worked out a healthy way to respond and cope with getting that type of news from your baby. That's a powerful point as well. That's, For sure.
So that's definitely that's the closure piece. And I'm speaking on at the top of the show. Like, we may not be able to close, so we're mindful of what we open up on this show, right? That's right and exact to say that, because you open it up and now it's open, and what's the next move? Can they stay with you? Is there a room here? Have we already thought about therapy? Have we talked about that? Are the children safe? No, all those things need to be taken into consideration.
That's for sure.
When you get ready to start a conversation like that, because it's not just a one-time conversation. You may as well look at it like being a sponsor. You joined at the hip.
Yep.
This is something they need to, because it's something that the person who's hurting them is showing them consistency. Yeah. It's negative consistency. But it's fitting the bill for now, because they ain't never had no other type of consistency. You
and genuine at
that. Combat that with your consistency, showing up with love. And that's how you pull somebody out of them fiery pits. I really appreciate that comment right there, right? Because that's a piece of the puzzle that we just been missing, as Black people in general. Not thinking all the way to the end. Like, to the end, what's the final outcome? We're more like freestylish with our actions, but this right here is the answer. Like, how do we get closure? How do we get closure? And one more thing I want to say to the people who have been affected directly to domestic violence, because I know there's someone sitting in the corner part of their house right now with the volume down on 3, earpiece in, maybe sitting in the room with a person that's treating them that way. I want to talk to you for a second, right? Responsibility or accountability don't always equal responsibility. I told you I was going to come back to that, right? Because a lot of us have been hurt so much by people who are accountable for the pain that they gave us. That person is like, ooh. You know what I'm saying? Like, you
lay the blame at their feet, but It's not their responsibility to fix you.
Come on, bro. It's for my closure, for my therapy, for my healing.
That's breaking the
It's
curse.
not the and I wouldn't even want it from you. I wouldn't even want your energy trying to heal me. That's my job.
Can I say something real quick, bro? And I really think that is what hinders a lot of people from their growth, because they keep looking at who broke them. I'm like, well, you did this.
Say something.
You did this. You did this, so I need you to fix it. And on a larger scale, that's what's wrong with us as a people. We keep talking about what America has done to us, what white people have done to us, whatever. And I'm saying, man, fuck whoever. It's our responsibility to fix this shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we've been shut off, shut out, cut off, redlined, all of these things.
And we still resilient.
but we cannot keep pointing and looking at these people in this system in this country like you did this, and it is not. It is not their responsibility to fix us,
really
man.
It isn't, bro.
It ain't, bro.
That needs to be said.
They did what they were supposed to do.
They did their part.
They did their part. Now it's on us.
Let's go. And this is the reason, not the shift. This is the reason why as soon as we get off the air, 1 hour after that, you'll see New Era Chicago moving through the streets, boots on the ground. We're not just talking, family. We got to lead by example, right?
That's it, bro.
Ain't nobody coming to save us, family. It's our job as men.
That's fact.
To be on location and protect, as my brother E always say, protect women and children. That's our job, kings. Even if we only can sacrifice 3 hours a month. I don't care if you got to break those 3 hours down to 3 different days or put it in one. Family, we can utilize your services.
What days the streets is watching, family, so they'll know?
Streets is watching
Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday.
Wednesday, and Friday for right now. Sometimes things change up. You know, we move around because we understand that crime, negativity, pain ain't got no set dates. You know what I'm saying? So we move around and do what we got to do. But Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays for right now. If you're available on those days between the hours of 7 and 10 p.m., contact me. Contact Brother E.
Hit the New Era page. Call it.
Hey, listen, I can only do it once a month. Hey, but I'm out there with y'all on Wednesdays when y'all get off air. Like, I'm available right now. I'm just not getting off work. That's how I got in tune with y'all, podcast, right? Like, hey, I'm coming out there with y'all. Family. If everybody do a little, nobody got to do a lot. Many hands make the work light, right?
Yeah.
Yes, we definitely appreciate y'all tapping in, family. And I do want to remind you all that this Sunday, we'll be kicking off our Kids Ride. That will consist of some hot chicken and noodle soup. Smacking y'all. I just want to tell y'all that. But it's gonna be we're gonna be at the Quarry. That's 2423 East 75th Street from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. It's gonna be some other stuff that we're giving out too, family. It's gonna be a few different giveaways. So y'all come on out and check us out and see what we can get. You can get for the babies or the family or whatnot. It's gonna be a few different things. So y'all tap in December the 19th, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. at the Quarry. 2423 East 75th Street, 60649. Hit the New Era page. Y'all have any questions? Our telephone number is 872-212-6026. Hit me up, Erica Burton on Facebook. Y'all just tap in. Streets is watching. I'm coming back out too, but I just got to pick a day.
No doubt, Craig. No doubt.
Since we can come back out.
No doubt. And I want the kings, I want y'all to hear this, what the sisters just said. Well, first of all, too, for people that may want to donate, also. They can
donate New Era Chicago, $ New Era Chicago. Zelle is New Era Chicago #1 at gmail.com. Y'all tap in. We definitely need some donations.
Give us a couple dollars, man.
If you can't come out, can't make it out, the streets is watching, or you can't come out to Rakia's Ride, come on out, tap in, family, because we all we got.
I promise you, family, you can see New Era Chicago. You will see us, like, for real, about it, in one of these stores, like with 3-4 pounds of chicken. See us at the aisle grabbing the food that we need.
Yep.
Really doing the family. We ain't got no team, but nobody that's pulling up and going to the store to get these products. It's New Era Chicago, family. Listen, I wouldn't even join. Let me just say this, bro. It's a whole lot of organizations out here. I consider myself, I fancy myself an intelligent man. I know how to think like 2, 3, 4 different ways. You know what I'm saying? That's the blessing that my mom and daddy gave me. They called it a gift for the gab. I said, I'm going to turn my negativity into my positivity, right? So I know how to think. There's a lot of organizations out here moving. Don't you never get it confused, family, about what's going on, because they not doing this. I'm not getting down on nothing. I'm just saying, know the difference between the two. You know, we're not reactive. The things that New Era Chicago do are proactive, family. It's boots on the ground. Sometimes you have people come out and now they're engaging with the enemy. They're engaging negatively with people inside our community. New Era Chicago ain't about none of that. When we come out, we embracing our community. We feeding the community. We don't even have no conversation for the enemy. You understand? We ain't got no time for you.
Let me say something too,
please,
family. You know, a big part of my approach on this, like I'm the president at this time of the chapter of the organization, and you know, out of all of the things that we do, I view our service as the most important. We do community patrols and whatnot, but those are not, you know, that's not, we ain't out there acting bad and tough and whatever. We ain't doing it because we hard. We doing it because it's needed and because we men. But the first part of, you know, us becoming a, I feel like the most important part of what we do is the service, the feeding people, the clothing people. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, we talk about establishing ourselves as the authority in our communities. You can't do that without showing love first. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, my thinking on that is like, why we feed people, why we clothe people, and why we respond to certain things is so if the time ever does come where we have to, you know what I'm saying, do whatever we have to do, we won't be seen as bullies, or you know what I'm saying. They'll be like, "Oh no, them brothers, they've been out here serving the community for years. So we ain't out. They ain't out here acting like the police. They ain't out here, you know, thinking that they big and bad and acting like no kings or no, you know, dictators or whatever. We servants first and foremost. Get that understood. We are servants first and foremost.
Facts, King. That's that piece right there, family. That's that piece right there, brother. And that's one of the reasons that I love you the way I do. And
I love you too, bro.
One of the reasons, brother, that I am a part of New Era Chicago, New Era Nation, brother. It's a lot of people moving, man, but this right here, man, my heart is invested in this right here because service is where it is, right? And I love you, sister. All right?
I love you too. I love y'all too.
Closing out. Listen here, family. New Era Chicago, Streets is watching. We'll be out there in 1 hour. Rakia's Ride, December 19th. Anything else, family?
That's it. Black man, your race needs you. Black woman, your race needs you.
Shout out to What's in It for the Black People Media.
There it is. All power to the people.
All power to the people.
From the gutter, where the mind's hard to change, but we don't give up on our brothers and sisters. Cause we all need one another. The time's getting closer. Revolution, feel it coming. I can smell it in the air. Inhale it, let it embody you. Because chances are the cops pull you over, they body you. Plus we don't trust each other, so it's just another obstacle. Why jump hurdles to make a change? It ain't optional. Olympian mindset in this booth with my binoculars. I see my vision getting clear. Justice what a prophet do. My music touch the people's soul. Black power gospel tunes. So many styles, watch me kick them like they soccer moves. Falling rank and file, this is my platoon. Soldiers at attention, ain't no Willie lynching. This the program. Who they think they kidding? Reinvent the system. Total reconstruction of our mental stigma. This ain't a game, boy. Still they think I'm talking about Nintendo's. That's a shame, boy. Augment reality. Better fix your brain, boy. I love my people, hope they love me black. I'm going hard and ain't no holding back. Watch me react. I put my fist up in the skies like the beaches for believers that one day we return to our greatest city. We seek it all the glory we can obtain and keep reaching. I'm painting this picture, I hope you see it. Guess what the theme is? I love being black. We turning up. I love being black. Say it loud, man. I love being black. One more time. I love being black. Hey. Well, how about you to sing these tunes too? Customize for you a little something you can grow to. Feeling good about yourself. Melanated mood muse. Always service humble pie. We don't care about who's who. Light brown or dark skin. This right here's for you too. We are the gods of the earth. Living proof truth. Say it loud if you black and proud. I salute you and that's a fact. Where you at? Let me hear you say it back. I love being black. We turning up. I love being black. Say it loud. Man, I love being black. One more time. I love being black. Hey. Super melanation renovation of our databases. Gotta fix the trinity to make it past the matrix. There's a rabbit in the hole. No decision. You gon' chase it or just shut it for complacency. Here's your motivation. Black power in your veins. Up to us to build a nation. European mental detox completely. We being black, ayy.